cantina. Please remember to tip those Wookiee bartenders 20%. The droids, the bananas, no Raylos. I was quite busy this morning because I took the dog to our church for the blessings of the animals. If you're Catholic, you know that it's the feast of St. Francis of Assisi was either this week or it's next week. So Father did the blessing of the animals, and Kojak, who was horrible yesterday, horrible. Hey Dave, behaved like a saint. He only jumped on Father once. I was like, thank God. So we're just kind of hanging out right now. He's tired because it tired him out. He was really stressed out. Rudy's, we're going to a kind of a big event at the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Shrine tomorrow. So we're not gonna be around. So Rudy's at church because he's an usher. I am here hanging. So I'll talk a little bit about Scarlett Johansson. Late Thursday night, it was announced that she settled out of court. Arbitration with Disney. Here's what we know, okay? This is what we know. Scarlett was told when they decided to go public with the lawsuit that she was going to get her money from the streaming. The movie, they say, has made $500 million. They're estimating. I mean, Valiant Renegade and other people have estimated. So it was basically, again, like Cameron and others have said, they felt like Scarlett had been pushed into and manipulated into doing this, and it ended up blowing up in Kevin Feige's face and Brian Lord's face. Very interesting. On the heel, right before this happened, we got information that ICA and CAA, Brian Lord's thing, we're going to merge. Anyway, so we got that going on. Now, what does this mean? The war for the soul of Disney isn't really necessarily, and it's actually not necessarily about Lucasfilm, okay? It is about Marvel. It is about Pixar. It is about all these other brand names that they have. It's okay, Bobby. It's about all these other brand names that they have. And it is very worthwhile for us to remember that Kathleen Kennedy being put in her place was just a battle. Okay. And she really wasn't that hard to. Yes, Bobby, I'm serious. It really wasn't that hard for Chapek to do it. Kevin Feige is a little bit different. Kevin Feige's the golden boy. He's the guy that basically is the cool kid. Everybody supposedly likes him, etc., etc. He is not the one that built the Marvel Universe. It started with Jon Favreau, and then Ike Perlmutter, who left because Iger was kissing Feige's ass. But Feige really hasn't done a lot. They can sit there and talk about how great Loki was. No one I know liked Loki. No one. Okay. They can talk about how great other things were, but I don't know anybody who liked WandaVision. Black Widow should have come out 5 years ago. Kind of like this Indy 5 movie should have come out 5 years ago. Okay. And I think the reason why they waited so long, part of it is because this really is Kennedy's swan song. This is it for her. And you can just tell, it's just that there's a different feeling, but I'll get into that later. Shang-Chi was a joke. The Eternals is going to be a joke. This is where Chapek has Feige by the balls, okay? He's not producing things that people want. Marvel's starting to go into the shitter. If Chapek can head it off at the pass, he might be able to save Marvel the horror story of what's been going on at Lucasfilm. But we don't know. We have to wait. And then, of course, there's Pixar. And Pixar, you know, hey, Ezio. Thanks for sharing. Pixar, I tried to watch Toy Story 4. I got 5 minutes into it when the little girl takes Woody's badge off and puts it on the girl cowboy doll. And I was like, fuck this shit, I'm done. Okay. I can't do it. And of course, that is a woke trope. Okay. And I was like, I don't care about this. I don't care. The first three were awesome. And I mean, if you look at the bad guy in Toy Story 2 and put a picture of Pablo Hidalgo next to him, they look exactly alike. Go do it. Do it. Google it right now. I wish I could share it. So there's a lot of stuff that has to be fixed. But looking at the people that are leaving, right? Disney. You've got Alan Horn leaving. You've got Iger leaving. You've got the PR lady leaving. You've got, I think Alan Braverman's leaving, and somebody else is taking. I mean, it's massive exodus of old executives. That's an indication, because all those people defended Kathleen Kennedy, and they've defended Kevin Feige. Feige, I think when he pulled this with Scarlett, saw the writing on the wall. So, it's very, it's very obvious now. It's really just, you know, very interesting to me watching all this happen. And we knew these guys were leaving. I haven't seen their names, Phil, on that. I've just seen the people that were really close to Iger. Okay, the like Horn and Braverman and some of that Munch or Murch or Mach or Kirch or whatever her name was. And we've got already, you know, one executive retiring at Lucasfilm, a younger Disney guy coming in to take her place. This is a big deal. Okay, this is when this stuff starts happening. Meanwhile, you've got Lucasfilm announcing new shows, several coming within the next 3 years. And all right, we got the Book of Boba Fett, got Ahsoka, Mando 3, and a few others they didn't name. Okay. Oh, and hi OG, how you doing? So it's going to be very interesting from here on out. You know, if you go, well, you know what? They might be leaving, but I haven't seen their names. Okay. I don't really see Bob Chapek being a woke guy. I think he'll say what he has to, but I don't. He looks like a football coach. He looks like a mean football coach. It's just very interesting to me. So, but again, let's go back to those names that you mentioned, Phil. We haven't seen those names, but it doesn't mean they're not going to. Or they could be staying, but in different areas. Things are in a flux. It is getting redone, okay? And not just Disney, but Lucasfilm and probably Marvel. I would say, well, I'll tell you something. when the Russo brothers came out and said Marvel sucks, it's trash fire, that was huge. Okay, that was big. They are the most successful directors of the franchise, except for maybe Jon Favreau, who made Iron Man. Okay, which I actually have it in Blu-ray. And it's very interesting to me watching all this go on. Okay, a lot of stuff going on, guys. A lot of major league stuff. Okay, and we're gonna hear more. I know we're gonna hear about more executives leaving Lucasfilm. Hey, Patrick. Okay, hey, that's great to see you. So we've got that going now. They're going to be moving Indy 5 filming to Italy. And yeah, you're right. You're right, Journey. You're right on that. They're going to be moving Indy 5 to Italy and Sicily. And there's a whole great big Italian translated into English article that was like, I think that's what they meant there. But, it's, there are some people out there that just can't, just don't do a good job translating. So we got that going on. And, so we'll see. And I think after they're done in Italy, they might be done. They might wrap and be done. All right. Because they've been really working in London. There's night shoots. I got a picture of Harrison Ford filming, and he's been filming for weeks now. He looks fine to me. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be really good. And I want to say something. A lot of people are giving Clint Eastwood kudos for being in Cry Macho and punching people and stuff like that. And a lot of people are giving Tom Cruise, who's just hey Nikki D, just a putz in my opinion, kudos for doing all of his own stunts. Harrison Ford never gets a break, and I don't know why. Somebody's gonna have to explain that to me because it pisses me off. Okay, now what? I gotta turn down the stew just a second. You can look at my bookshelf. All right, sorry guys, I'm back. All right, I hate leaving dead air, but I can't help it. It was rolling too fast. Anyway, I don't understand why they do it. I don't understand why people just feel it's okay to attack him. I'm, someday someone's gonna have to explain that to me. Anyway, so what else is going on? If you guys weren't aware, there was a Scientific American article. Let me see if I can get that up here on my computer, since we're in my kitchen next to my computer. I don't know if you guys were aware of it. I know there were some channels that talked about it, but I don't want to talk about it with you guys. Let's find it. Okay, we already did that. Scientific American. Let's see. All right, here you go. So this is Scientific American. It came out last week, and it's an opinion piece because opinions are valid in science. It's under the heading of inequality opinion. Why the term Jedi is problematic for describing programs that promote justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. They're meant to be heroes within the Star Wars universe, but the Jedi are inappropriate symbols for justice work. Now, okay, get ready, because here are the writers: J.W. Hammond, Sarah E. Brownell, Nita Kendharnath, Susan J. Chang, and W. Carson Bird. The acronym JEDI has become a popular term for branding academic committees and labeling STEM, which is STEMM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine initiatives focused on social justice issues. Used in the context, JEDI stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. All right. And it's a picture of the Garrison Ireland Legion members playing the characters of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader at the May the 4th Star Wars Festival in Portmeiji, Ireland. So I'll show it to you. Now, I don't know who these people are, but I can guarantee you I'm gonna look for them. In recent years, this acronym has been employed by a growing number of prominent institutions, organizations, including the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. At the first glance, JEDI may simply appear to be an elegant way of explicitly build justice into a more common formula of DEI, an abbreviation for apparently. It's an acronym. Alright, I'm going to skip a few things. It shares a name with superheroic protagonists of the science fiction Star Wars franchise, the Jedi. Within the narrative world of Star Wars, to be a member of the Jedi is simply to be a paragon of goodness, a principal guardian of order and protector of the innocent. This set of popular pop cultural associations is one of the some Jedi initiatives and advocates explicitly allude to. Whether intentionally or not, these labels we chose for our justice-oriented initiatives open them up to a broader universe of associations, branding them with meaning. In any case, Jedi, binding them to consumer brands. All right, let's skip ahead. All right, the Jedi are inappropriate mascots for social justice. Do we really want to go any further? Although they're ostensibly heroes within the Star Wars universe, the Jedi are inappropriate symbols for justice work. They are a religious order of intergalactic police monks, prone to white saviorism and toxically masculine approaches to conflict resolution. Hi, Mexican Iron Man. Mike is in the house. Okay, I'm not going to read any further because my head's going to explode. SJWs, by and large, have a problem with masculinity in this idea they have the white savior, okay? And then you start looking at them and think, well, you're all white saviors. There's a great meme of, it looks like Amelia Clark in her Game of Thrones outfit being held up on a dais, being bowed to by a bunch of people of color. And that's how these SJW, mostly women, look at themselves when they start screaming about the white savior. They're the white saviors. Okay, let me repeat. They are the white saviors. No one else can be. Okay. Anyway, this is the fact that this is in Scientific American should embarrass everybody at Scientific American. This thing from in Scientific American that these dweebs put on there is something that you would find on Tumblr. What the fuck? I'm looking at, I can't read any more of it. I can't, I'm done. I'm like, so, no. It's just, but so why? First off, you know, I mean, where did they come off having this in a scientific magazine? Isn't there any such thing as integrity in a discipline? Scientific American should be talking about inventions, about hypotheses, about genres in scientific study like astronomy, physics, chemistry, mathematics. Okay? I mean, even archaeology could be considered a science. I'm like, you know, I don't get it. Well, look, it's an opinion piece and it's under the heading inequality. And I'm like, these people never saw Star Wars. There were female Jedis. There were Jedis of different species and races. The fact that you've got Mace Windu, a Jedi. You had other people of color that were Jedi. They don't. Let me explain. The average SJW is the most ignorant human being you will ever find in your life. Okay? They are literally beyond ignorant. And this is something, they don't look. That article was written by people who are not intellectually curious. Okay? They can't live in a world where somebody else has an informed opinion that's stronger than theirs. Okay? This is why Twitter is the way it is. Okay? I had to watch and make sure the dog wasn't going out to do something bad. He's actually quite tired from his blessing. Maybe Father actually exorcised the demons that were in him yesterday. It was horrible yesterday. Oh my God. It's just, but back to what this is the classic place where SJWs have, slimed their way in to a place they don't belong. Again, it reads like a Tumblr piece. It reads like some rant that Rewriting Ripley would put out, or something that Pablo Hidalgo would hork out, okay? It does not read like an academic think piece, all right? Unless these are the kinds of academics that are now being fostered at our universities like MIT, Harvard, Stanford, etc., etc. Because if that's the case, we're fucked. Okay, the world's fucked. Okay. Let me just say this. I don't see Elon Musk hiring any of these people for any reason. I don't see Jeff Bezos hiring any of these people for any reason, because they're not intellectual. They're not. When you talk to somebody who's in the sciences, yeah, I think they are, Ricardo. I really do. When you talk to somebody that's in the sciences, it could be medicine, it could be anything. They don't think the way we do. The only time I've run into people that are actually a little bit, they can let go of the scientific method that kind of hangs over their heads everywhere they go. And especially if they're in the research, then they really don't think the way we do. As astronomers, most astronomers that I have known, and my father-in-law is one, are not atheists. I mean, Carl Sagan was one. The idiot who took over for him is another one. But my father-in-law is a devout Catholic. Okay. I've known others who, I have a friend who's an astronomer. He's also a Methodist minister who takes beautiful pictures of Jupiter and Saturn and all the planets. Okay. He's got a telescope that is worth probably more than my house. Okay. But they see the plan in everything in the galaxy and the way things move, because it's moving. I mean, the stars move, the planets move, galaxies move. It's all mathematically perfect. Perfect. And that leads a lot of people to really understand that there is an intelligent design to it all. Okay. When you have someone like these people talking about a fictional science fiction fantasy like Star Wars, and they're not serious. These are unserious people. And a scientific, it doesn't belong there, magazine, it's like, what? Well, Mike, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know how long ago you graduated, but I'll bet you $1,000 that it's changed a lot. I know my own university has changed a lot. It was changing when I was there, and that was back in the late 80s. And when I got sick, I had to leave school for a time and recover. And when I came back, there were changes. I mean, I'm the girl at the age of 21 who is suffering through the history of China and listening to the professor, this red-haired frickin' witch. Oh, you're right, Patrick. Her name was, oh God, what was her name? It was a French last name. She was waxing rhapsodic about Mao and the Great Leap Forward. If you don't know what the Great Leap Forward is, after the Chinese Revolution and after the Korean War, when the Chinese were forced to go back across their borders and to honor, the 45th parallel, Mao decided to turn inwards and to clean up Chinese society. And what he did was he committed probably, and I'm going to say this, the most heinous genocide ever committed. He had intellectuals murdered, artists murdered, writers murdered, filmmakers murdered, politicians murdered. Anybody he felt was a threat to the status quo, what he's trying to build. Okay. And I was like, looking at her going, wait a minute. And I kind of said, didn't he murder like 60 million people and that's considered a genocide? She lost her shit. She absolutely lost her shit. Yeah, he did. I mean, he basically took away everything that made China's culture unique. Okay, and it was ugly. I mean, it was ugly. She lost her shit, and as she was about ready to throw me out of the class, I said, I quit, and I walked out. I went walking up to the chairman's office. He was sitting there grading papers, including mine from the history of the Old West. And I sat down and I said, I can't handle her. And I explained to him what she was doing, and he is a very moderate guy. And he did not agree with her on that. But he was like, well, you have to take a non-Western history course. And I'm like, so I ended up taking the history of Japan as an independent study. And I talked about Japan and the history of them in China and Korea, because, wow, that's a history that you can't even imagine. I mean, World War II started a lot earlier than people think. When the Japanese invaded Korea back in, I think, 1931, that's when it really started, okay? And then they started going after the Chinese. And they actually, I mean, the Japanese actually really did have kind of a foothold in the area anyway for decades, okay? It's really fascinating. I'm not a Far East historical person. I get bored. I'd rather talk about Europe and America. It's probably because that's my heritage. But yeah, see, man, that's exactly what we're saying. But again, this stuff started in like 1990, 1989, 1991, and around then. Barbara Buffton, that was her name. And she was just, I mean, crazy. Absolutely batshit crazy. I had another teacher, he was an old hippie. And if I'd ever gotten into a political argument with him, we never would have gotten along. But I loved him because he let us think outside the box and use our brains. Critical thinking. That's what you should be learning in college. They don't do that anymore. Okay, you have to think this way or you're inappropriate. Okay, I'm inappropriate. Fuck you. Okay, that's, fuck this shit. There's no place for attacking a film franchise, even if what sciences use the term to talk about justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion. There's no place for an opinion piece like that in a magazine, a publication dedicated to the scientific arts at all. And yeah, in 1910, you're right. And yep, you're right. And they'd been there for decades before World War II. And that was after Teddy Roosevelt. Hey, Grandmaster Jim. That was after Teddy Roosevelt got his Nobel Peace Prize for mediating the ceasefire between Russia and Japan for the Japanese-Russo War. And that was, or probably to World War I, but really everything in the early part of the 20th century was kind of a prelude to World War II. Okay, and really, World War I was really kind of the reason why we live in the world we live in now. It really was more of an upheaval of the old order, and in a very bad way, by the way, my friends, than it was, these countries looking to amass wealth or, gain power. They thought they were doing that. But what was going on was the monarchies were dying. I mean, look at what happened to Russia. A lot of really bad political ideas were getting... Yeah, it is, Ricardo. We're getting looked at. Back before World War I, you did have, Karl Marx writing his bullshit in England. You did have socialists running around. But they were kind of a laughingstock. After the war, when you had economies devastated, when you had populations devastated, I think Germany lost like 1.9 million men. I mean, that's like a holy shit number. And yeah, it is slowly changing. And I think the Brits lost like 900,000. We only lost like, I can't remember, it wasn't that big a number. But the French were devastated. I mean, the flower of Europe was gone. It ushered in people looking away from the old order. There's a book called The Rites of Spring. I highly recommend you read it. And the old order was the monarchies, the way things used to be. Then you've got the rise after of inflation, economies are devastated. I mean, really, it wasn't that long into the 20s that Italy fell to the fascists. And all Mussolini did was say, you know, they're not really buying the socialist thing that I've got. I'm going to rebrand it and call us fascists. And that's when that movement started growing. Okay. To put Italy and to make it sort of a nationalistic thing, but they were still socialists. Okay. Total control in one way or another of every human being in Italy. The Germans embraced that in the 30s, that kind of thing. But they were socialists. Many of that guy's followers called themselves socialists. Okay? In fact, he himself is quoted as calling himself a socialist. All right? So you got these guys fighting other socialists before these guys came to power in 1932. Or 30. I'm going to say 32, but I think it might have been 33. I can't read the dates. But this is why we live in this world. And they've morphed themselves now into what they call our left wing, but they're not. Think of the people who have, no, I haven't, Jonathan. Think of the people who have billions of dollars. And how far to the left they are. In what world could you see Marx, Lenin, or Stalin tolerating that kind of personal wealth and that kind of personal private property? They're not that kind of socialist. They are fascists. They brand themselves one thing to get the kids all hyped up. Okay, that's it. They're about as progressive as my dog is. I mean, he's asleep right now. He's like, I'm sick of this. But why this stuff is getting into Scientific American where it doesn't belong is beyond me. Well, they're globalists too, but they're just living Uncle A.H.'s dream, okay? Those guys didn't fade. The Nuremberg trials, they got a bunch of guys with names and got rid of them. That's it. And made it look like justice. Well, the Chinese, I had a long conversation with the deputy commander of U.S. Forces Korea. He was an Air Force general, F-15 pilot, great guy. He was talking about going to China, and we were talking, and I said, the Chinese are fascists. You can't have billionaires in a communist country. You can't. It doesn't make any sense. When you look at the philosophy, maybe they don't know that they're just raising the black flag of, Mussolini, okay? But they are, all right? And this is what we've got. We've got Tumblr writers screaming about, how bad Jedi are because they're masculine and white safe. I'm like, fucking A. If you guys go to Scientific American and read that, your head's going to explode. Okay, because I'm not going to read anymore. I'm done. Bullshit. bullshit. There was something else I wanted to talk about, and now I can't remember. What time is it? I gotta get going anyway pretty soon, because I gotta vacuum and get the kitchen cleaned up. I'm making beef stew tonight. So, and we're just gonna have a glass of wine and hang out because we've got that big thing tomorrow. But you guys have a good evening, and have a great weekend. And if there's any, I guess Echo Base is gonna be on tonight, but they're gonna be talking about Venom, and I'm like, so we'll see. But I'll be around. Like I said, Scarlett Johansson. This was a Chapek victory. Disney did not bend the knee. They basically did exactly what they said they were going to do. After she went public, which was a huge mistake on her part. Okay, and it made Kevin Feige, and what I really love is it made Brian Lord look bad. I'll add this about Bond. I know the spoilers. It's not woke. There's like one woke scene. But Andre liked it. Others that I trust, Chris Gore liked it. So, I trust them more than I trust anybody else. Okay? If there was, they basically, I think, when they did the reshoots, is they basically tamed Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And as far as the Phoebe Waller-Bridge thing, I don't care what the leaks say. James Mangold came out and said that's not happening and that's not in the script. I believe him before I believe any leaker. Okay. From what I can tell, if there are any leaks going that way, someone is trying to damage the movie for some reason. And maybe it's just to damage Kennedy. And I really, the bullshit that went on Twitter and Mangold, and the troll that started it, and all the rest of it, it's already hurt the movie to the point where, if it makes any money, I'll be shocked. And that is just a fucking crime. This movie at least deserves for us to see the trailer before we make up our minds. Okay? And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not getting the whip in the hat. Okay? I mean, Mangold said no, she wasn't. And to me, when I hear this stuff, it's all clickbait, and someone's just trying to hurt the movie. I'd like to know who, because I would have words with them. I know there are people out there that are, I have a theory about some people who want to see it fail, who are in the fandom, but I'm not going to get it. Anyway, I got to go, and y'all be good, and I will see you around the galaxy. Maybe I'll be around on Loki's show tonight in the chat. Talk to you guys later. See you around the galaxy.